Should we just
Good
start?
afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon.
I know you're having great processing of the previous session, but and we're also
We'd love to get started sharing about eco-villages and sustainable community, what it takes to live well together.
I think our hope is that you will see how you can create the future by living intentionally and getting to know your neighbors, and we're going to get into some incredible examples. So welcome everybody. Everyone should get at least 2 cards, and if someone else walks in, share one of the cards with them. Okay? We're going to be playing with the cards in about 10 or 15 minutes. So, Raines, you want to introduce yourself and me?
Sure. Betsy here is the urban planner in the family. Planning for Sustainable Communities is what we call ourselves. Do you have a website? pfsc.us.
And Cohousing California.
Yeah. Well, most of the organizing work we do is through Cohousing California and our regional meetup group, East Bay Cohousing. We try to help people find each other, learn about community, build community. There's so many different dimensions, as you'll be seeing here. So much to explore.
And we were very inspired by the Global Eco-Village Network to become ambassadors. And we'll just be blunt, we want to get you involved in creating Eco-Village Network of California and of the U.S. So we'll tell you more about that later.
And bring these ideas to bear wherever you are, because we think they're powerful, and especially the combination.
So, shall we begin?
Let's begin.
Okay. So, eco-villages regenerate ecosystems. This is the same land in Egypt, Sekim Eco-Village, 78 to 2015. Next. Eco-villages regenerate human relationships. Can you read that? Yeah, this happens to be one of the latest gatherings of the Global Eco-Village Network working in China and bringing together people. This could be, I believe it's China, it could be Okinawa, but so just last year. Next. So, this is where the words begin. We have massive global scale issues, problems, inequalities, disruptions. And the Global Eco-Village Network happens to be lifting up local solutions of whole systems, cooperative, collaborative, and peaceful efforts by people at grassroots level all over the world, and then bringing them together to make those things visible to the powers that be, the systems and governments that we all know and participate in. Next. We're talking about local communities, planetary connections, human scale initiatives with global impact. These are real photos. These are not stock photos. We made them promise that they would start labeling all the photos. Go ahead. All right, so Raines, can we move this slightly so that the definition, so there's been a couple of definitions of eco-village over the world as the network. Is that not any better? Okay. We're ascending. So here's the current working definition, and it's not about the words, it's about the practices. A community using participatory design for multiple initiatives over time that integrate ecological, economic, social, and cultural dimensions of sustainability into whole systems, pathways towards a regenerative future. What we're talking about are, at the beginning, were intentional communities, initially folks from the US and mostly Europe, who met and said, we have a planetary crisis on our hands. We need to know who's in with this holistic, human-centered approach to making the future work through intentional communities. It's not just green building. It's not just organic farming. It's not just affordable housing. It is, and it's not just learning how to govern together cooperatively. It's all of those things, because as the framework has emerged from studying these and looking at and being part of hundreds, if not thousands, of communities around the world that are now affiliating with GEN, it's so, I just want to show the mandala. They have the best graphic artists, that's all I can say. Social, cultural, ecological, and economy merging into whole systems design. Yeah, this is the abstract part of the presentation.
Are they, or are you affiliated with Fellowship for Intention?
Well, it just so happens both of us have spent 12 or 15 years either being on the board or Cohousing California being a regional organizer. Yes, and IC.org, which is now renaming Foundation for Intentional Community, is the fiscal sponsor for the Global Eco-Village Network of North America and Next Gen North America and the GENA Alliance, which is folks like you who just happen to have already stumbled into this network and said, yes, we're on. So let's go. All right, so here's ecovillage.org has a directory of communities organized through 5 regional networks, every continent except Antarctica. And the newest, the latest one, the latest, well, they might as well be, yeah, those stations, right? Looking forward. They certainly are intentional communities, people living up there. So what's important is this is really a commitment to showcase and bring up often countries and whole continents like Africa, which have just been, white European North doesn't know what's going on there. And we also don't necessarily know what's happening all around the world because we have the ability to focus, I won't say why, but the point is we're bringing it up, that Jen is bringing this up and enabling people who are already doing the kinds of things you're doing and more, bringing them together so they can form their own council of self-governing council to then elect their own representatives to the Gen Network Council. So just to understand how committed from the bottom up this is, even though, to be sure, there's a staff and a nexus that comes from the Global North. So this is the vision, and the reality is integrating traditional villages, and we'll get to those, newly formed communities, intentional communities, Eco-Village at Ithaca, Los Angeles Eco-Village, and urban neighborhoods, because if you might have heard, eco-cities, eco-districts, you know, we're all striving at different scales to figure out what to do and to connect, not waiting for a master plan to drop in our lap. So
green doesn't just mean go out to the country and hide out?
Well, it can, but frankly, greener is learning how to get along with your neighbors and maybe share things. So, and creating new, energy generating projects, but talking to each other across projects, villages, cities, regions, and we'll get to the nations next. So just to pitch for Global Eco-Village Network to understand that I'm not just presenting a random assortment of great projects, because any one of you here could probably present your project and maybe you would be eco-villagey. The point is, though, banding together and building alliances. So Global Eco-Village Network identifies existing communities and helps leaders, local leaders, when they can. It's not a hugely budgeted organization, but it is strongly committed to building bridges across communities in countries, across countries, and then building alliances and being visible and vocal at the UN, national governments, and beyond. Okay, so it just so happens that the great brains that created the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, similar brains have been at work locally all around the world and are meeting and addressing. I mean, we're not saying there's no poverty, but the eco-village projects that are part of this network, many of them are specifically addressing inequalities around wealth. They're addressing zero hunger. They're learning how to use food and grow food and promote local health and quality education and gender equality. If you've read the Drawdown book, you know, those solutions are being carried out. Project Drawdown, which is 100 great solutions, and very close to the top, for example, is empowering women in a greater way so they can actually be what turns out to be an important element, a voice All right, I'm not going to show this, but the point is some efforts have been made to actually start assessing the actual impact, not just the verbs, not just the pictures. Keep going, Raines. So I just wanted pictures. Auroville in India, one of the oldest eco-villages on the planet, didn't start out with that label, but it has sequestered carbon by planting 2 million trees and transforming a desert area of the Pondicherry state in India by planting members of the community, including now half of them are Indian natives from the area or other parts of the state. They planted 2 million villages. 2 million trees. You do that through cooperation. Preserving, here's another set of projects that the Institute of Permaculture is doing in El Salvador. Just keep going. I'm going to overwhelm you with beautiful slides. This is Eco-Village at Ithaca. It's basically, you could say, small town suburban housing, ultra green, sharing land cooperatively, and
co-housing neighborhoods.
Yeah, there's over 160 homes there that are all set, and a community supported agriculture. This is a visionary thing that a friend from down near Palo Alto got going on, and now they're building with sites. It's basically a high-tech approach. Everybody who's wants to start manufacturing, urban farm equipment, vertical farming, electric cars, solar panels that are integrated into the roof. This Regen Villages is an example of just kind of going as green as you can. And they're now building in Holland and have a site in Sweden. Have to raise the money. Nobody's doing this for free. Here's Tamara in Portugal, which grows food and uses renewable energies to clean their. They're famous for their water reclamation. It's another area where there was a desert. They used permaculture principles to create a microclimate, basically. They now have a separate microclimate because of all the water they've saved. Okay, let's keep going. Here's a case of where we talk about whole systems design, high value, efficient crops in cooperative farms, wealth distribution, questions and issues with what's being grown in Ghana. Art is an important principle, celebrating diversity of communities, again, in Brazil. Social entrepreneurship for women's empowerment in Egypt. Many eco-villages support local entrepreneurs, but some have this deeper goal. Practicing skills for connection and peace. This is essential. We can barely talk to each other about our differences. I don't know about you, but I live in Berkeley, and land of strong, opinionated people. And those of us who actually think there's ways to recognize our connection with each other have to practice, and we have to be grounded in each other, and communities of practice in these eco-villages turns out to be a great way to be learning firsthand. Okay, I'll just keep going. Now this is where it starts to get exciting. The most interesting, the first one is exciting. It's 11 traditional villages in the Gambia. Forward. Yeah. Next. Okay. Yeah. No, it was, I'm just trying to say the latest area where Jen has found and is nurturing eco-village projects, green schools, and leaders who are ready to, in Jordan, Palestine, Israel, the Fertile Crescent Network. It's just emerging. Keep going. We got to meet some of those. So green schools education is one of the eco-village strategies, and there's two accredited programs, or just for your own interest, where you can get eco-village. It's basically an integrated design program where you're learning permaculture and self-governing principles of community, and you're learning social peace-building communication skills, and you're learning about fair trade and what are we calling it now? Regenerative economics. Go forth. All right. So one of the things I'm personally excited about, and I've been working on using the eco-village concept for 2 or 3 years now, is tiny home eco-villages. Absolutely We need them for homelessness, affordable housing, disaster relief, and refugees. We need to learn how to have safe communities that are also ultra green and ultra low cost. And so
you get a very different reaction from neighbors from saying, hi, we'd like to create affordable housing for the homeless by putting an RV park here, or trailer homes. And instead you say, we'd like to create a tiny home eco-village that will attract tourism and sustain the neighborhood.
Or self-governing, and will steward the land around it. And because in fact, who's living more lightly than homeless people on the street? I mean, seriously, any one of us, I'm sorry, I'm editorializing, but I am really heartened that Jen is working or identifying places around the world that are suffering from major disasters and using the principles of small-scale, locally generated power, earth building to create living communities for disaster survivors. These survived a typhoon. Now, this is where we start to get a bigger scale. What am I doing on time? I'm rushing through this because we want to get to the cards. Yes. Very exciting. The nation of Senegal, as a result of conversations, I think, at the UN and the COPSI talks, invited Gen's staff to come and talk to them, and they declared a program to help 14,000, which is about half of all the traditional villages in the country, to use eco-village principles of participatory design and multiple centers of initiatives so their kids don't have to go to leave home to ever have a job or an education. The idea is build from the bottom up. It's not a new idea, but the concept is drawing government support. Yeah, in Senegal.
Somebody putting in a phone system today would not run copper wire all over the place. They just go straight to a cell phone. They can take a path that doesn't take our long journey through industrialization and back out, but straight to greener.
To get to a higher quality of life with a lower impact. Again, in Thailand, there's a whole district that is also committed to creating an eco-region, basically in one of their states. Okay. That's huge. We just did a whirlwind. I hope you look at your cards now. Look at your cards.
Can I get 2 cards, please?
Does someone have 3 cards?
I have 3.
Could you give one to
Cool, thank you. Got
in Lasha? In Lakesh.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone missing cards? Is anyone missing? Here's 2. We might have to, if anyone else has 3, I'm just going to give 2 to you, and maybe someone else who has 3 will share with you. Here we go.
That's okay.
Here you have, there's another one. Do you have just one? Does someone have an extra one? Do you want to give?
I have one.
How about this one? Okay, I just want everybody to have one. Now, Raines, do you want to launch this, or?
No, but I will call attention to the color in the corner, the icon that's on the back side of the card, the category. So you can see if you've got the red, the social. You've got some of those, but in the back side, this red says social. Some of those out
Just pay attention to your categories, because.
Green for economy.
Yep.
Green for ecology. There's a good variety out there. Purple culture. Yellow for whole system design.
And that's because there's principles that doesn't matter what scale you're going to. These are principles that have proven themselves to be part of making this whole web of individuals and networks sustainable. And I think you'll like them. So first off, should we pull this out? Can we push chairs back and pull this out, Raines? Because I think we need to walk around. I think we need to be able to walk around. So please get up. You're free from your seats, should you wish to be. And can we go over there to the middle?
We're kind of centered.
Okay, it's important that you have freedom to come and be in a circle around this. That's pretty much how this works. Thank you. Thank you.
We're already acting like a...
And I'm going to bring this. Can you pull this down? I'm sorry, what?
I think we're already acting like a village. We're working.
That's right. We all actually know how to be helpful. And, we can also always ask. And it's, in this case, thank you for supporting the higher purpose of this activity, which is to learn these principles, or at least see how they work in your life. So the first thing we want to do is assemble the Mandela, which at this point, there should be 6 whole systems design cards. So if you have a gold whole systems design card, hold it up, say what it is, and one by one, just place it within the yellow circle. State what it is.
Identify the appropriate scale for efficient solutions.
All right.
This is engage all stakeholders in designs for the future.
Yay, that's what launched me on my work. Okay, step up.
From nature and practice whole systems thinking.
Okay,
Find strengths, weaknesses, and leverage points in all areas.
great. Big rock.
Increase biodiversity and regenerate ecosystems.
Build networks and alliances for mutual support.
No, yes, and that's actually an ecological principle, but not currently. It's a great one, but she's got another one.
And alliances for mutual support across all divides.
Okay, and one last.
Honor traditional wisdom while integrating positive information.
Yeah, you just put that there. So these are innovation. These are we're just starting at the whole system integration. These are tools that may not be the ultimate last tools, but they are examples of the synthesizing and analytic practices. Okay, pardon?
That's beautiful.
Yes, that's what we like. So next, let's do ecology, because many of you probably have a passion for.
Biodiversity and regenerate ecosystems.
Okay, now there's 6 cards, so just get them, yeah, state yours, yeah, so it's okay, thank you. And now one more.
Move towards 100% renewable energies.
Okay, yeah,
Clean and replenish sources and cycles of water.
yay.
Work with waste as a valuable resource.
Grow
They
foods
can-
and soils through organic agriculture.
All right,
Innovate and spread green building technologies.
yay. There we go, thanks. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's move on to social, because some of you might also be practicing new skills in that regard.
Practice conflict facilitation and communication and peaceful building skills.
Oh, yeah. Okay, if I take some pictures, the way as we place things, anybody
And I invite you to speak up, because you are sharing a deep principle, and we want to name it and honor it. Hey, name our next social.
Cultivate responsive, inclusive, and transparent decision making.
Participatory budgeting, one of my favorite
Fair,
tools.
effective, and accountable institutions.
Okay,
Ensure equal and lifelong access to holistic education and healthcare. Empower participatory leadership and good governance.
okay. Again,
That was just all social today. So embrace diversity and build thriving communities.
yeah. Like what we saw with the art and diverse communities in the favelas of Brazil. Okay, let's do economy. How many here are involved in fair trade or barter banks or moving your money to a ethical bank? Love it. Okay, let's name the economic principles that are.
Invest in fair trade and ethical systems of exchange.
And that can mean global banking, or it can mean, but we're talking grassroots. How do we lend money to people? How do we put our money to work where others are going to benefit as well as us? And how do we get what we need equitably? Yeah.
Cultivate social entrepreneurship to create a sustainable solution.
Reconstruct the concepts of wealth, work, and progress.
Empower and strengthen local economies.
Generate well-being for all through economic justice.
Yay.
Ensure equitable ownership of land and resources.
That's one of mine. All right. Thank you. So I'm going to bring you now to this culture, which has gone through several iterations. It began with sort of saying, well, you need a spiritual grounding, which is, spirituality looks very different among different people, and even the very word can potentially be hostile or oppressive. So then it was called worldview, which is to say, how we think about the world actually, and the people in it, has a deep connection to how sustainable, resilient, adaptive we might be as a society. So let's read off the culture, just knowing that these are human evolution.
Engage actively to protect communities and nature.
Celebrate life and diversity through art.
Nurture mindfulness and personal growth.
Connect to a higher purpose in life.
Reconnect to nature and embrace low-impact lifestyles.
Respect cultural traditions that support human dignity.
It's one of my favorite ones. All right. So now we get to do how much time? Because this is the heart of what we're demonstrating.
Is there any official new schedule time on everything is late?
Lunchtime, yeah.
Well, here's what we're offering. We'd like you to think in your life, what are your strengths? What are the assets or skills or passions that you're most persistently pursuing? And we're only going to give you 3 each.
But for you and your extended community?
Yeah, you can. What this is used for is to help either an existing eco-village or an eco-project see the lay of the land, because we're going to ask you to identify strengths and challenges or gaps. Sometimes they might be the same thing, but we're going to ask you to do them separately, and so there'll be different colored Post-its. And I know this is going to involve some bending, so if someone's not good at that, maybe hand it. And I'm going to ask for this first set, we're going to use, is there another one of these that has paler covers? Yeah, there should be another one, but we'll use this. So we'll use these super bright colors, and I'm just going to, so turquoise, fuchsia or pink, hot pink, and orange, and just take 3 and pass it on. And we're going to sacrifice all these little bits of paper for you. Take 3 and pass it on. And if we need more of the bright colors, please do. Please.
Can we take 3 of each?
Yeah, here. I think there should be enough for everyone to have 3.
Can you just pass that around and we'll just
Oh, I guess I could. Well, I was trying to
speed it up.
Trying to. If you can. Yeah, thanks. Take 3, and I think we're gonna have plenty. So
3 of each?
you can have 3.
The right color.
The brightest, the pink.
But different colors?
No, it doesn't matter. Anything that's that bright palette.
Have 3 of a color.
You have 3 of any of these bright colors.
We got it.
And those 3. And here's, okay, look at that. We have some left over.
At 140, you
And then we just mark.
Oh, we're supposed to.
We're supposed to end at 140 and then lunch is at 145.
Actually, lunch is available now. We were told if you need to go to lunch, please do. But we started at 10 past, 15 past. Yeah, thank you. I did. Thank you. And I'm not able to honor that. Because so the assignment is reflect on your life or project, where you are on this journey of soil, not oil, planetary climate, and identify one sticker each on your top strength. Where do you have the most knowledge, experience, basically the gifts you have? And I would really appreciate actually if you put them all on the left side of the card so that we can count the strengths and weaknesses, because they'll be on different sides. So if you just put something on the right side of the card, could you move it? I'll move it. I'm going to move this one. There we go. Because there's a lot of you, and hopefully you'll just do one per card. But as you wish. And let's see our time frame. So probably oh wow. It's 2:04. So if you put it on the left side of the card, so we'll see where the most strengths are. This is used to help a group map its own strengths and aspirations.
And great for saying, what partners do we need? What's the
Yes.
picture? Where's the
It's
energy?
the whole,
Including even where, where the tension is and what doesn't
yeah.
yet.
It's like
This group needs a lot of help over here.
Well, or it may not be their strength, but to understand the connection and maybe ally with groups and recognize those principles in the work of someone else. Okay, wow. Okay, so is it going to be?
It's that one, mindfulness. That's the one. Why is that not?
It's interesting.
So nurture mindfulness and personal growth. That has 5. And how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11, because Raines and I didn't do this. Okay, thank you. So there's a lot of, and there's also some strength around learning from nature and practicing whole systems thinking. So cultural and whole systems, very kind of. The art one has 3. Okay, so that's equal.
A lot of culture here.
Yeah, a lot of culture here. So other colors, let's see, these are going to be yellow. Does someone have the other kit?
There's a bunch of...
Well, those are the same colors. We need the pale colors. Let me... Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm just going to hope that there's enough yellow, and you can take 3 yellow and put it on the right side of the card to indicate this is an area of challenge or a gap that you feel is important for you.
Growth opportunities?
So growth opportunities, challenges, ignorance, but you're signifying an awareness of this.
On the right side.
Yeah, on the right side.
So could you explain that one again? Like we're gonna pick
Just
which ones?
Pick your weaknesses, your challenges, the areas where you know you have less skill, knowledge, and strength in, and you think it's important.
Okay,
especially.
Thank
You would need the light colors.
Or where you're working to grow. Yeah. So this should all be yellow, and please put it on the right side so we can. It's barely different from the green. Anyway.
Mainly it will be which side it's on.
The right. Yeah. So.
Can't increase that first.
In a given piece of land, I guess is the idea. Within your sphere of stewardship. All of these are recognized as what we're doing in our daily life practice or community of practice, people we live and work with. Yeah. All right. So this is a group that comes from a lot of different backgrounds. In some communities where people have lived together for a number of years, there might be real concentrations in certain areas, and it's this particular one is more about just, hey, who's here? Okay, I'm blabbing a lot. Is this was this green or is that yellow? Maybe is that for sure? It doesn't matter at this point.
Capitalize the stereotype of communities as a bunch of like-minded people. You see, if you have that, you would have more of a concentration, and you lack the diversity to have a good range of coverage and good awareness. Connection.
So this is a consciousness raising in which the group can reflect on itself and individuals can reflect to themselves, but do so with knowledge of others. What do you see? What stands out for
Reconstruct the concepts of wealth, work, and progress.
So there's how many? 4.
And also engage all stakeholders in designs for the future.
Oh, that's got 3.
And 4, practice conflict facilitation, communication, and peaceful resolution.
Wow, that's yeah.
This one too, engage actively to protect communities and nature.
Do you think this belongs there?
No.
Okay.
I think it was on the list.
Someone had a yellow. Okay. So you might ask yourself, what is the biggest container that we hold in common? Do we all live in California? Does anyone not live in California, at least part-time? Or it's okay to not live in California. I just want to. So is that a container that we, so at the level of the community of California, for example, we have a lot of people, our strengths are very scattered, for one thing, but
Diverse and not scattered.
there's a lot of interest in nurturing mindfulness and personal growth. That's a real strength. Well, what does that build on or lead to? I mean, I realize usually many traditions say that's sufficient, that's nirvana, that's, I have mindfulness, and I'm going to guess you're here because maybe it's not enough. And not to assume anything, but I also saw that, let's look at what cards had no strengths or identified weaknesses. Okay, why don't you name that?
Empower and strengthen local economies.
Oh, okay.
I know in general, in communities, there's some tendency to avoid dealing with issues of money and saying, okay, it makes it too hard or we're too different. It takes work. There are ways to find more ground and bring it back.
I think that was on the other side.
I spent a lot.
I didn't know I was supposed to put on the right side.
I see.
Oh, thank you. I thought that. Okay, so do you want, so is there another? I think there's another one.
Generate well-being for all through economic justice.
So that's sort of one of the themes of a whole track here is understand, and it is part of the UN goals, which is ending poverty. The division of wealth contributes to our ability of those with to degrade the earth and disrupt. So that's.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, please.
It's hard too because my work, that's all I used to do.
Oh.
I'm doing it for the past 5 years.
Okay.
So it's also kind of like
already integrated, maybe.
Well, not already, but sometimes it's hard to pick. Might not be active what you're doing now, but you have. It used to be.
Yeah.
It will be.
Yeah.
So, but at the snapshot right now, I didn't put anything on it because I'm not actively doing anything. So that's just sometimes an interesting.
Yeah. And is this one? I'm going to address that. I'm going to thank you. How about this last one? Does that have any yellow on it?
This?
Is that empty?
No.
Oh, one. Okay.
This doesn't have any.
That one.
Okay.
That one there.
So let me just say, from our work, as Raines said, with intentional communities and eco-villages being among them, where people live and not just work, the concept of an integrated life is really the driving force. Yes, people want to accomplish practices and they want to change the world in some way, but it's living together in some sort of not just working together, but living together that is a foundation and a unique element about an eco-village or even an eco-city principle, where it's not just we're not just out there with a job. We're able to integrate our values. That and one more, and then or several more that are empty.
That one and that one.
Oh, a lot of yellow on.
That one has one.
Oh, did? Yeah. Oh, you're right.
So this.
That one.
Respect cultural traditions that support human dignity.
Learning from the past, from our elders, our own parents.
In the idea of whole systems design and integrated thinking, and these are all very connected. There's a lot of overlap, so it's hard to choose because they're not super distinct in many ways.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can tell you it's a work in progress. The folks who are working on this, are still sifting. They're sifting and they like feedback, like what's missing. There was actually a group in Sweden that we got to work with that's has some land, and they're wanting to create an eco-village where they'll live, as well as farm. And they said, well, what about just wanting to live together? So they advised there being, like Gemeinschaft, I guess is the term in German, but they have another one in Gemeinlook in Swedish, meaning wanting to be in close connection with the people we live with, wanting them to know, like in co-housing and all the way into more intimate communal situations. Anyway, is there any other that were?
I think it's all the ones that don't have anything on them.
Yeah, just kind of. We're supposed to take pictures, Raines. We're supposed to send this. Did you get each part?
Well, we'll document at the end.
Yeah.
Break it down.
Believe it or not, Kosha is keeping track. She's getting lists of what came up. So, how about I think we do have to wrap up. How about just each of you can say some last word. If we have 30 seconds to 1 minute, please share. I know that's not a lot. Raines and I will still be around.
Well,
but
I understand. Like, we could build the world however we want. We just need to have like a plan, at least. And this seems like it's a good plan to bring people back to nature. And I feel like when we have like an all-out effort to not having a war, poverty, illness, or even suffering, it is possible. Just need to figure it out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I like this activity as a way to generate conversation. I think that's great. And thanks for what you shared during the presentation.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm realizing we should say our names and where we're from. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Just quick catch up.
And Lakesh from Ventura County. That's in between.
Wait, in Lakesh?
Yeah, that's in between LA and Santa Barbara.
Jennifer, I live in Berkeley.
I'm Jordan. Oh, sorry.
We're neighbors.
I'm Jordan. I live in El Sobrante, and I'm just inspired by the work and the thought into supporting these kind of communities to bring an alternative to kind of politics and social training we have around separation, kind of each doing our own thing and taking care of ourselves.
Well, we've invested in eco-village development in El Sobrante, the Planting Justice Wild Radish Project.
Cool.
Meaning Raines and me have loaned the money.
Create loan funds and feel like keep our neighbors from being displaced and so on. We have the power.
Hi, I'm Siobhan. I live right in the Mission, like 2 blocks away. I love this, and it would be interesting to see if there were what maybe the foundational blocks are. If there's some that were more necessary, that everything sort of built upon. Does that make sense?
I think that's what the whole system's designed.
The whole system's is
I mean, some of it's advisory, but some of it's.
But that's kind of interesting for me because I want to start a village and just sort of being like, oh yeah, that's where I kind of maybe look to start.
It is what do you call that? A commons built from many gates, but being. They can be. That's the point. You don't have to do it all at once, but to have the concept. And I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. But I just want to reassure people.
I'm Lucas. I'm from Centerfell. It's interesting to see how almost all of these have a few post-it notes on them.
More than meets the eye. Raines from Berkeley, and I invite you to join us at Arcasante, where there's the ArcoLab Convergence with the emerging North American Eco-Village Network. So an unconference for people to work together on figuring out how we plug in, what are we trying to do, and how do we do the local.
There's probably 50 to 100 or more eco-villages, but only some of them have identified, and those are often world leaders. Los Angeles Eco-Village in California, Emerald Earth Sanctuary. What's the one, Tierra, down in San Diego? Sorry?
I had a neighbor who Emerald Earth.
Yeah, and in fact, they wouldn't call themselves that, but they're proto. And of course, CASA in Mexico, CASA is the regional network of Spanish and Portuguese-speaking nations. They basically were younger and they got frustrated with their American peers their elders on the council, and they went off and created their own really robust and abundant network. And let me not cheat you off.
I'm Megan. I live in Antioch, East Bay. Yeah, I was encouraged in your presentation to hear that there's not only these amazing projects happening in and of themselves, but also like a federation and a connection between them, because we need more of that. We need to learn from each other, so we're not sort of reinventing the wheel every time. So that's encouraging. And yeah, also appreciated kind of putting some words to some of the concepts here and being able to visualize it too.
Marita from Bolinas, California. Well, we're all in California. I just travel a lot. So I live in a community. Well, not currently, but I grew up in a commune and stuff like that. And Bolinas itself is kind of known to be kind of like this.
Yeah.
So I kind of experience a little bit of this every day, especially from my neighbor or my landlord. But it encourages me to just see kind of all the diversity of how to put things together. I mean, I was walking land the other day and I have a vision as well of bringing people together and just, what is necessary and the different, what brings us together, So it's exciting. I like the cards. I like physical kinesthetic movement.
Yeah. We have, we'll just say later, we have little card decks that we can sell. We brought back a number with us, but you can also order them online.
We love to come to places and do workshops with them and get people to the deeper level of engagement.
Yeah, that's our little pitch part, if you'd like to. Pardon?
Who makes the
Global Eco-Village Network? There's a design and education team, and I think there's like 3 people who've been sifting and receiving feedback and doing and recently starting to do trainings in different continents and different countries, so that this is how to communicate something that is not linear. It's not like start with first principle A and then everything else follows. It's kind of we seek, what is the eco-village impulse in us, and then to understand how the see, I don't even have all the words. How do we think holistically, and how do we see what it is that we might have in common with someone else? So that's how I see it.
People can enjoy some lunch.
Yeah, enjoy lunch, please. Oh, and forgive me. Yes.
My name is Jeremy. Live around the Berkeley area. I think the idea of a self-sustaining ecosystem or like a village is really interesting, especially since a lot of places in the world, they still struggle to have basic necessities like food and water. We get really privileged over here and forget that. But I think we already have the knowledge and ability to kind of change that. And that just takes some communication to get that done.
It's a journey, is how, for me. And I'm encouraged, I just have to keep, that when I saw that this really was a multi-continent, multicultural, because we have such terrible racial divides and, there's always language barriers. So, to know that almost, I forget the number of countries, 114 countries have eco-villages that Jen has identified and reached out to and has been invited to participate. And they vary. I mean, we tried to show some of them are inspired by health and natural eating and cooking, but that means they grow their own food and they use organics to do that. And others are doing peace building. I just heard there was a community in the Cameroon that I don't think I had a photo. There's some civil war going on, and it turned out that a number of people from villages that were being displaced and rousted were allowed by the soldiers to go to the eco-village as a peace sanctuary. So I'm sure there's other, you know, the more there are, the more stories there'll be, and some are not always seen that way, but the principles are the principles carrying out, you know, a different vision for how we are together. It's lovely to think it's respected.
Have you heard of the Venus Project?
Which one?
The Venus Project in
Tell me.
Florida? Have you heard of it? The Venus Project?
Jupiter? I've heard of the Jupiter Project, but no, I haven't heard of the Venus Project.
It's in Venus, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah,
What is it?
Yeah, it's basically how we could.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jacques Fresco.
Can we wish Jeremy happy birthday?
Oh, is it his birthday? Absolutely. Absolutely. Shall we sing? I'm going to do it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jeremy. Happy birthday to